How has AI sort of changed the way clinical trials are like designed and conducted, or are we still in these like early stages?
We are in somewhere in between. So the return of investment of the AI initiatives is, I feel, paying back slowly, but it is. And such clinical trials are very complex and need a lot of things. And they are being planned and executed. One clinical trial can easily take 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. So to replace the whole thing with AI, I think is not a good start. So you really need to go piece by piece on it, right? Do little pilots to support this task of a clinical trial, to augment those parts of a clinical trial, and then going step by step forward instead of really trying to go to do everything at the same time, especially also because it just takes very long time, right? 5, 6 years. If we were to do one clinical trial, let's say completely AI assistant from the beginning to the end, we will have in 5, 6 years our learnings. And this would be very late. So we cannot iterate fast enough. So hence, I think it's good to really go on it step by step and do pilots.
Yeah. How is it changing the design then?
So one example of it is what you want to do in a clinical trial is usually compare the effectiveness or efficacy of a new medication and its safety versus standard of care, right? So that you can prove that the medicine is safe and effective. So what you traditionally do is you design your trial, right? You do define a so-called patient population. So these are the patients that should be enrolled into this trial. And when I'm saying you define them, you think, what are key exclusion and inclusion criteria that should define this patient population? So now, if you look at it from a statistical point of view, what you want to show is that between the two groups, so the new innovative medicine you want to test and the placebo or standard of care, that you see a difference. Yeah. So then naturally, the more, let's say, defined those patient cohorts are, the easier it is to measure a difference, if there is some. Yeah. So if you were to take 2,000 clones of Ben, yeah, which are all the same in their biology and whatnot, then the effects on Ben will be presumably the same. So you need less clones of Ben in order to have this trial running and measuring effect. And traditionally, we do this inclusion-exclusion criteria by literature, by experience from past trials, from competitors, from what the regulators want, but also often some gut feeling a little bit, yeah? And we end up in a situation often that we define the patient population so well that the people and patients, they don't exist anymore, yeah? So now the question is, does the patient for the trial really have to have the disease I want to treat for? Probably yes. Yeah. But does the patient need to be between 42 and 43.7 years old? Probably not. And here AI can help us with analyzing past and history data to have a good trade-off between the confinement of the patient population, yeah, so how precisely are they defined, and the overlap with the patient population. So namely, do the patient exist in real life? Yeah. And there is some sweet spot because you want, on the one hand, to have the trial to be recruited, yeah, so that you find the patients that you need for the trial. On the other hand, you want to have the patient cohort as defined as possible. So hence you need less patients in the trial as such, which means that it will be accelerated and faster in its execution.
Interesting. So a lot of work goes into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.